Hello everyone, welcome to another Roblox scripting tutorial. Today what we're going to be learning how to make is we're going to be basically learning how to set up a thing called profile service in our games to securely save all of our players' data and make sure none of it gets lost. Normal Roblox data stores are kind of trash, they kind of break a lot, especially like I've had a few games where the data stores in it broke, which completely destroyed the game. Players lose data, they don't want to grind all those hours just to lose all of their data. No one wants to do that. So profile service will make sure that all their data is secure and will be uh, you know easily accessible and not be prone to getting corrupt or lost. And it's actually honestly easier to use than normal Roblox data stores once you learn how to use profile service. It's fairly simple once you get the hang of it, to set up and all this stuff and add new values and add new stuff that you want to save into it. So what we're going to be needing to get is the profile service model, which will be linked in the description. Once you have that, we're going to insert it into our studio. And this isn't written by me, it's written by a group called Mad Studio. They've made pretty popular games in the past. They've made the Mad Murderer, Mad Games, Mad Paintball. So they're pretty well known, but they wrote this code, but it's open for us to use. So what we're going to be needing to set it up is we're going to need two folders inside of service script service. One of these will be called scripts, and then the other one will be called player data. You're going to go ahead and take the profile service script. You're going to put it inside of the scripts folder. Then we're going to go ahead and insert one normal script and two module scripts inside of the player data folder. Like that. And then name the first module script to template. Name the other one to manager. And name the normal script to data. And the first one we're going to be editing is the template. So open up the template module script, put your mouse in between these like squiggly lines, these squiggly brackets, and hit enter. So it should look like this. And what the template manager script is going to do, module script is going to do, is it is going to hold all of the values that we want to save. So what we'll put in here, we could put cache, and basically whatever you want the player to start out with is what you'll set this value to. So if you want the player to start out with like 100 cash, then set it to 100, because the template will be like the base data that the player joins the game with. This is what they'll have. So we'll set it to 0. We can also do level, and we'll just keep it as those two values for this tutorial. But if you wanted to add like let's say you had like an inventory, right, and you had like a pets like system in your game where it was set up with like pets in an inventory, you can go ahead and do pets equals a table, and basically whenever you have like a new pet, you can insert it into this table, and it'll get saved. So but it's fairly simple to add on new stuff. That's why I like it so much. Everything, like all the values that you want to save, you just put them inside of this template pretty much. But yeah, we'll keep it as simple, cache and level for now. Inside of the manager script, we'll be holding all of our player profiles. So what you're going to type here is you're just going to type, we're going to hit enter, and we're going to go module.profiles equals squiggly bracket. So it's basically just holding all the profiles in a table that will be easily accessible by our normal script. So now that we have the template script and the manager script set up, we can go ahead and enter the actual data script, which will basically run everything. So what we're going to type first is we're going to basically just define all the services that we need. So we're going to go local players equals game colon get service players. Then we're going to go local server script service equals game colon get service server script service. Then we will define all of the different scripts we have. So we'll go local manager, hold up, local template, local profile service. So then we can just do local manager equals require script.parent.manager, local template equals require script.parent.template. and then profile service equals require server script service dot scripts dot profile service. So we have everything defined. Now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be setting the actual profile store. So this will be basically our data store. So we'll go local profile store equals profile service dot get profile store, empty quotations, and then template, comma template. So what we're going to put inside of these quotations is basically the data store, the key almost to the data store. So let's say you set this to test 1, 2, 3. You want to make sure that this key is consistent when you're updating the game and publishing it, because if this is even test 1, 2, 3, 4, then that data will get reset because it's a new data store. Obviously you can access it again if you just make it back to test 1, 2, 3, but make sure that when you're publishing the game for updates, you keep this consistent, because if you don't, then it'll basically just start up a fresh new data store, which we don't want. So make sure, and you can go ahead and put a comment right here where it's like, make sure key is test 1, 2, 3 is set to test 1, 2, 3 when publishing. So just a little tip right there. Next up, what we're going to do is we will go ahead and set up the actual player added function. So we're going to go local function player added, then we're going to go player, and then we're going to get their profile. This is going to be basically the player's profile. This is going to store all their data in it. So we're going to go local profile equals profile store, load profile async. Then we will set a unique key for each individual player. So let's go player underscore dot player dot user ID. So now we have that. That's the player's profile. That'll basically have all their data in it. We can do some checks to make sure that we actually get the profile. And if not, then we will, run something. So we'll go if profile equals nil, then we'll do return. But if the profile equals nil, then we will kick the player, because we're not able to get their profile. So we'll just go player kick, and then we can write like a comment here. We could say issue getting data, please rejoin. So basically what this is saying, if profile equals nil, then player kick, issue getting data, please return, and then we're gonna please rejoin, and then we're gonna return it, so it'll stop the code from running any further. But if the profile doesn't equal nil, then we can go ahead and write some other code. So we'll go profile add user ID player user ID. Then we'll go profile reconcile, and then we will go ahead and we will also write no, then we're gonna write if player is descendant of players, the service equals true, then, so what this is saying is if the player is a descendant of the service players, then we will run this code. So we'll say manager dot profiles square brackets player equals profile, and then we'll go ahead and say else, and we'll go profile release. So what we're doing here is we're saying if the player is descendant of players, then we'll set the manager profile of the player to the profile. If not, then we're going to release it, and up here we will go ahead and write a code that says profile listen to release. Oops, got that wrong. Listen to release function, and we will go ahead and say manager dot profiles player equals nil, and then we can just go ahead and recopy this and place it right in here. So basically what this is saying is this is basically listening to the release. So when we run the release down here, it'll see that it ran the release, and it'll come up to this code, and it'll run whatever is in here. Basically, what we're doing here is we're saying if player is a descendant of true, so that means that they're actually a player. But if they're not, then we will release it, and then it'll come up here, and it will kick the player, and the profile will get set to no. So that should be good for the player added function, and we can just go ahead and type in players.playerAdded connect, and then we can just run that. But we have to type another thing, so we have to type for underscore player in player in players get players do task dot spawn player added player. So we have all that set up. We have when the player gets added, but now what we need is we need to have the removing function for the player. So we'll go ahead and say players dot player removing connect function player, and we can go ahead and get the player's profile. So we can say local profile equals manager dot profiles square brackets player, and then we can say if not profile, then return end, and we could just say profile on release. So we'll just shoot this back up to here, and it'll kick the player. I mean, not really, they're leaving, so it doesn't, but we'll set the profile to no. So that should be good with that. But the thing is, when you have this, you can't see it. Like, there's no way of actually seeing the profile store, because it's, you know, it's not a leader stat, it's a actual profile. There's nothing, you're not saving a value, but you can actually make it show up here if you put the value into a leader stats. So what you could do, you could say, you can make a function called local function leader stats. Okay, yeah, that should be good. So local function leader stats player player. Then we could say, then we can get the profile. So we'll just go local profile equals manager dot profiles square brackets player. So like the same we're doing down here. Get used to typing this, because this is basically what we're going to be using to get the actual profile of the player. So next up, what we're going to be doing is we're going to say if not profile, then return end. And if there is a profile, then we're going to make the leader stats. So we'll go local leader stats equals instance dot new folder leader stats dot name equals leader stats. We'll go ahead and say local cache, because we have the cache value, instance dot new number value leader stats. And then we'll go ahead and say cache dot name equals cache dot value equals profile dot data dot cache. So what this is doing is we're getting the profile of the player by getting the manager, which is right here, and the actual profile of the player, and we're making the leader stats, and we're making a cache value inside of leader stats. And when we're setting the cache's value, we're setting it to the profile's data for the cache. So you don't have to put dot value, because it's not it's not a value. It's like, it's I don't know how to describe it, but it's in the profile. So all we need to do is cache.value equals profile.data.cache, and it will instantly set it to whatever it is. And as you can see, we also have a level, so we can also say, if you want to do level, you can just do level this. And if we hit play, you can now see that we should have both. Oh, looks like, oh wait, I forgot something. We didn't run the leader stats function. We have to actually run it. So where we are going to run the leader stats function is, we're going to come back down to here when we checked if the player was a descendant of the players, and we're just going to go ahead and run the leader stats function. So now if you go ahead and look, you can see we have, it's like there's still no leader stats. Oh, you have to send over the player. There you go. So now you can see we have cash and level. So yeah, and you can see if we go to players, leader stats, cash, level, but changing these values isn't going to save it in that profile store. You have to change the value of the profile, not this. We're just setting it to, when we change the data of the profile, we'll update the leader stats, but it's not going to actually save what's in the leader stats, if that makes sense. So I'll show you now how to adjust the value of the profile. So let's say we had like a button, right? And actually, let's do this. We'll do a part, and that if you interact with it, then you get cash. So we'll just do this, and then we'll go ahead and anchor that, and then we will go ahead and insert a click detector, and then a script, and we can go ahead and say we can just go ahead and say, also another thing really quick, make sure that you have security, you have enable studio access to API services turned on, and you have the game published to Roblox, because if you don't, then this is not going to work, because it has to actually have a game to save the data to. So we'll just do this, and then we can go ahead and one other thing, we can say local server script service, game server script service, local manager equals server script service dot player data dot manager. So then we could say local profile equals manager dot profiles player. So like I said, we're getting the individual profile of the player, and then what we will say is, let's say we had like a value, so we can say local cache local cache basically cache number, and we'll just set it to 5. So basically set this to whatever you want like this to give, pretty much. And so once you have that set up, we can go ahead and actually code it. So we can say profile dot data dot cache plus equals cache num. And then we can just update the leader stats. So we could say player dot leader stats dot cache dot value equals profile dot data dot cache. So let's go ahead and see if this works now. Go ahead and publish. Let's go ahead and see if this works. I'm hoping it works. As you can see, 0 cache. We go up to here and we click. Looks like there was a problem. Profiles is not a valid. Oh, because we didn't require it. Okay, my bad. Require. Make sure whenever you're dealing with a module script, you actually put require in front of it, getting the script. I forgot, but let's see if it works now. As you can see, now every time I click, we get 5 cache. And another thing, let's go ahead and see if it saves. So if you remember, we had 60, and now we rejoin, and we have 60 cache. And we can do the same thing with levels. If we have another thing, so we'll set this one to green to symbolize cache, and we could set this one to yellow to symbolize levels. So we can just say level num equals 1, and we can just go ahead and do this profile.level level level. And now every time we go up to the yellow and click it, it should adjust our levels value. So yep, 60 cat, we'll go ahead and get some more cash. 100, and we'll just go to 200, and then we'll go to 10 level. So 200 cash, 10 level 10, and let's go ahead and rejoin and see if that's saved. And as you can see, it's saved 200 cash and level 10. So that's basically how you set it up, and that's basically how you set up where you can adjust the actual value and have it show up on the code, not the code, the leader stats. And one other thing I want to show you, let's say you had like a UI, right? And this was like a cache, like a value, like in simulators you have like the amount of cache you have in a text label. I'll just go ahead and show you how you can actually have it so that it'll show up there. So we can go ahead and do this, and we can just go ahead and we'll just make a quick little UI right here. And we will just set this to $0. So we have this, right? And obviously if we click it, it's not going to update this. So what we need to do, we'll go ahead and make a remote event in here. And this could be the same thing for, let's say you have like a button that will give you cash. You can fire this event that'll give you cash and update the leader stats. But what we're going to be using this for is we're going to update we'll know what we'll name this? We'll name this update instead. We'll name this update. And we can go ahead and define it up here. Update. Update. And so now what we're going to do is when we run this, we can go ahead and do update events fire client player. So what this is going to do is this is going to fire the client when we update the values. We'll fire a client event so that the client side of the player knows when the value change happened. So we can just go ahead and go into here now, and we can make a local script, and we could just say local label equals script.parent. Like this. And we will go ahead and we can also do and then we can say update event dot on client event connect function, and then we could just say label dot text equals money sign dot player dot leader stats dot cash dot value. So we can actually, and just in case, we can put this a little bit. So now when we update our cache, it should and another thing, I'll show you how to do it so that it updates when you join, but it should update this now too. So as you can see, it updates that now. And let me just go ahead and show you how to do it when you join the game. So, not profile service. We'll go into data. Local replicated storage equals game get service replicated storage. Local update event equals replicated storage job update. And basically all we need to do is just fire a client event, because you already have it set up to when the client event gets fired. So we will just add it in. We'll add it in right here. So we'll just go update fire client player. And now when we join the game, it should have our cache value already in there. Okay, it doesn't. Oh, I know why it's not working. Because it's not, the leader stats aren't there. So we can go, instead, we will put this, we'll go ahead and hit wait. There you go. So now it basically, what was happening was this wasn't like made yet, so it wasn't able to get it. So now when we go ahead and click this, you can see this updates. 360 we have this updates as well, and then when we go ahead and hit stop and rejoin the game, you can see that it saves, and not only does it save, but this is updated and you have that cache in your actual text label. So that's basically how you insert, that's basically how you set up profile service in your games. Very secure. You're not gonna be especially for bigger games. Let's say you have a bigger game with 100, 500, 1,000 players in it. You can have this in your game and not really have to worry about that data issues, and actually focus on making the game and not have to worry about players losing their data and setting up a secure data store, because this does it all for you pretty much. And it's pretty easy to set up once you learn how to do it. If you want a more advanced tutorial on how to set up profile service with stuff that's like, setting up like an inventory system with like different pets or trails or something, I can go ahead and make that. I'll make a more advanced version. But this was just basically a basic video on how to set it up and get it working in your games and save all of your players' data. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to leave any questions or concerns in the comments. Make sure to like the video, subscribe, all that stuff, and I will see you in the next one.